there, and welcome to the newest episode in my summer blockbuster movie series. Today, I will be discussing probably one of the greatest films ever made, and personally, one of my all time favorites, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Now, this film was definitely a blockbuster box office hit. Before the world of movies that we live in today, where unfortunately the movie-going experience doesn't really stay that long in theaters. Maybe at most it may stay in the theaters for 2, maybe 3 weeks at a time, and then you wait a little bit, and then it's automatically on your streaming service. Even though there's nothing wrong with that, this movie really stayed true to wanting people to experience that true movie theater going experience. It stayed in the movies for months. I remember when I saw this film, I saw it kind of not too long after it first came out, which was in July. And then I saw it again in October. So that's months later, and it still was in the movies. So it really goes to show that a big, huge, fantastic action film like this really held the audience's interest. And Christopher Nolan is just one of the absolute geniuses when it comes to directing. Alright, so let's dive into some really interesting fun facts and happenings on set. Of course, one of the favorite things that I like to start off with is who could have played who if it wasn't casted by who ended up getting the role. So let's start off with the character that went on to be played by Aaron Eckhart, Harvey Dent, aka Two-Faced. So a few considerations for this role was none other than Matt Damon. He actually was given the role, didn't have to audition, and was going to have it, but unfortunately due to some scheduling conflicts and a film that he was working on at the time called Invictus, halted that and he had to continue his search. Other actors who were considered for the role of Harvey Dent were Ryan Phillippe, Hugh Jackman, Mark Ruffalo, Liev Schreiber, and Josh Lucas. So when Aaron Eckhart was able to get the role, he went on to actually study people in mental institutions and specifically studied those with split personality disorder, as well as those who experienced burn trauma to their skin due to his famous half-burnt face, aka Two-Faced. Another iconic role in this film, hands down, is Heath Ledger's The Joker. So there's some very interesting backstories and facts behind Heath himself playing this role and then the Joker character itself. So many of us know that Heath definitely went on to do the whole method acting when it came to playing the famous clown. But the character, the Joker itself, is loosely based off of 3 famous rock stars: Johnny Rotten, Iggy Pop, and Pete Doherty. Another interesting fact is when it comes to a famous scene in this film, and probably one of my favorites, it is the car chase scene where we have Batman in his Batmobile and we have the Joker in a big rig 18-wheeler truck. So the practical and special effects used, as well as a little CGI, was just absolutely amazing and incredible. The special effects supervisor of this film, his name was Chris Corbold, and when Nolan told him that he wanted to do this sequence, he was like, yeah, right, we're not doing that. And then he realized that Christopher was serious, and he says, quote, "Oh, so you're not joking." So Corbold and his team built this huge rig to fit under the underbelly of the truck, and on this rig was a steel piston that would shoot at the bottom to make the truck flip. And in order to get the piston to shoot out enough force so that the truck could flip, they had to basically catapult this with some TNT. Luckily, Heath was not in the vehicle during the actual flip. They did use a stunt actor. Okay, so next we have a really interesting fact about the film's music. And of course, we cannot have a film without some type of theme, some type of score, and just overall music playing throughout the movie. So the composer in this film is the very well-known Hans Zimmer, who has just done amazing soundtracks and scores for all types of films. So a foreshadowing theme that he gave to Heath Ledger's character, the Joker, is called "Why So Serious?" So with this piece, which I will play for you in just a second, gives the character more darkness and depth and kind of gives the Joker a backstory as to why is he so scary? Why is he so menacing? And we almost kind of feel his piercing look and his intensity on screen. And when brought all together, the music just really brings it to life. So the Joker theme was based on two notes, C and D, played in various keys. And also, fun fact, Hans Zimmer chose to play this film in the notes of D and C for DC Comics, which is pretty awesome. Now, Hans Zimmer is one who does not shy away from his intense drums and violins and flutes and all types of things and various pluckings in his films. And with this score specifically, he had some very bizarre methods and tactics that he used to create this kind of spine-chilling theme. So when he was writing this, he played piano wires with none other than razor blades, and he even played some guitar riffs with shards of metal. Like I said, sounds bizarre, but in the end, the finished product sounded amazing and really made the film come all together and made the character that much better. Now, this next fact is absolutely wild, but it has to be one of my favorites. When I was doing my research, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. So the film caused quite a bit of controversy in the country of Turkey. Why, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. So shortly before this film was released on DVD, Warner Brothers was taken to court by the country of Turkey and specifically was taken to court by a city in Turkey called Batman. Yes, I am not joking. Even though the film is called Dark Knight and Batman was not used in the title, the character name of Batman was considered an infringement. So the mayor of this city said that it brought a negative impact to the city of Batman. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly for the sake of their city, so apologies. But he said, quote, "There's only one Batman in the world. The Americans use the name of our city without informing us." So, there you have it. Before you do anything like this, make sure you get some legal advice. Okay, so again, before I conclude my segment and this episode of my blockbuster movie series, like I mentioned in the beginning, this movie really showed the movie-going experience and how much of an impact it is to just be in a movie theater, sitting back, relaxing, eating your popcorn, and having a fantastic run in a movie theater for months, whether you waited a little bit to see the film, whether you've already seen it 3 times but you want to go see it 2 more times. It really, back then, 2008, when this came out, just really showed that the movies is not just something to do. It's really an experience that has to be immersed, and you really need to feel things when you watch movies, and this one really did that. So this film had a budget of $185 million. And it set this record of surpassing $1 billion in less than a week. For real, The Dark Knight will and has already gone down in history as one of the greatest films ever made. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this episode of my summer blockbuster movie series. I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes and looking forward to making more content for you. And as always, stay tuned and see you soon.